Howdy, Crucible Constellations, and welcome to the 5th Winds of Exchange Andy Forge deck opening. We're going to be cracking in almost halfway through here, your bi-weekly KeyForge deck opening video. There's been a lot of news as of late. I won't talk on it for too long, but we've been seeing so many Grim Reminders updates, and I'm actually super pumped to get into it and hopefully get into that set. There are a bunch of spoilers out if you haven't seen it. Make sure you go check out the Game Found if you haven't already. They just announced one of the tiers that'll be available, and some really unique ways in which you can actually customize your custom deck and like a poster and some really crazy stuff. I think it's super interesting. You actually get to choose the houses in that deck now, which I think is still within KeyForge themes with like the randomized cards, but you get a little bit more sway since it's supposed to be special to you. I think it's so interesting, and there's so much to talk about there, and we're going to be getting more and more news, so I'm sure I'll talk about it in the next video as well. But let's get into this. I'm trying to remember. I never remember which side the deck list is on. Okay, awesome. Facing up like this. Let's see if I can't just cover it all up here. Toss that to the side. So we'll start with our token creature. It's upside down. Okay, start with our token creature. Raider, okay, so we have Unfathomable, that's what this house should be. Our other two houses are Mars and Star Alliance. This is Thjalfi, the Muscled Complex Lion. Interesting, very interesting. The Archon there looks kind of like upside down. Green Archon fits with the Mars. The houses are interesting. What I think is really interesting about all three of these houses in particular is that they all have really good cards, but they can also have really like flop pods. So like all of the Unfathomable actions are crazy, and then some of the Star Alliance, like the Ganymede Outpost and some of the efficiency and stuff is really good. Rogue Operations is great. And then Mars has a bunch of cards that are really good together, but you can also get a bunch of stuff like, oh, it's like almost exclusively Xanthix Harvester or something like that. So these are some really contentious houses. Raider's not the best token, but I will get right back with the card reveal. We'll break into it and see what we're looking at. Alrighty, we're here now with the card reveal. Here's one more look at the deck, the Archon card. Go ahead and set this aside. So this is going to be our deck list, and then our token creature. So our token creature is Raider, 1 power creature. Raider gains poison during our turn, and then it goes into detail about poison. On your turn, any damage dealt by this creature's power during a fight destroys the damaged creature. Very cool. Raider is one of the less good Unfathomable creatures, but I think in the right scenario it's good. And Unfathomable being naturally just a very controlling house, it's good to just have creatures that you can reap with on the board, so you're moving towards keys while controlling people. We've been really popular with Unfathomable, it seems. We've had a lot of Unfathomable tokens. Okay, let's flip this over. We are starting in Unfathomable with the upgrade Toxicute Venom. It's enhanced with a draw pip, and then we've got an amber pip, and it gives the creature we attach it to poison. Then we've got the action Sunk Costs. Make sure everything's in camera, yep. Play, choose a house. Your opponent discards a random house from their hand. If it belongs to the chosen house, make a token creature. Kelpminder, probably where the draw came from. It's a 5 power creature that enhances 1 capture and 2 draw into the deck. Guildspine Netcaster, 2 power creature, enhances 2 capture into the deck, and after reap exhaust a creature. Maybe a good target for our Toxicute Venom if we don't get anything else. Any other important creatures. Got the action Crushing Deep here. It's got an amber pip on it, and it says play during your opponent's next turn. Keys cost +3 amber for each forged key they have. Some great late game control. Ooh, and then one of the best control cards this set. This is Befuddle. It's the Unfathomable action. It's got an amber pip on it. It says play, choose a house on your opponent's identity card. During their next turn, they cannot play cards of other houses. What's interesting about this is because since it just says cannot, if you have 2 of them and you name 2 different houses, your opponent can't play any cards on their turn. If you can play 2 Befuddles in the same turn. And there's another Befuddle, so achievable in this deck. Then we've got Adult Swim here, great for low power creature control. It has got a Amber on it and a Damage Pip, which actually might be great for killing off our raiders if we really don't want to bounce it to the top of our deck, or killing off something we don't want them to cycle and would rather just kill. It's, excuse me, an action that says play, put each creature with power 3 or lower on top of the owner's deck in a random order. 2 of those. Sleep with the Fishes, it's got an Amber Pip on it. It says play, destroy each exhausted creature. I think the only way we have to exhaust right now is the Guiltspine Netcaster, so let's hope we can get some more. Oh, well, here we go. This is Thjalfi, a 4 power 1 armor creature that enhances 2 damage pips into the deck, and it says damage creatures do not ready during their ready card step. That's all creatures, including our own. That would be a great target for Toxicute Venom if we want to keep them up. And then we've got the artifact Kelping Hands. It's got an Amber Pip on it, and it says Omni, destroy Kelping Hands. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature gains poison. It's super good because it's Omni. I think I really wouldn't like this artifact if it was action, just because of how much poison exists within Unfathomable, especially since Raider it has poison on our turn already. But if we can get some good, like, skirmish fighters in either of the other 2 houses, this can become really, really good just because it has Omni there. Alrighty, so we're getting into Star Alliance now. We've got the upgrade Uplink with an Amber Pip, and it says this creature gains action, make a token creature for each of this creature's non-Star Alliance neighbors. Not bad. Ooh, this is a great target to put that on. Secure Droid, 4 power creature with Taunt, but Secure Droid may be played as an upgrade instead of creature with the text this creature gains Taunt. 2 of those. Taunt is good. Ooh, lots of upgrade creatures. So we've got Pyro here, 3 power robot creature with Splash Attack 3, and it says Pyro may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text this creature gains Splash Attack 3. Oh, a really good artifact here, Future Booster. It's got an Amber Pip on it and a Damage Pip. And it says Omni, look at the top card of your deck. You may put it on the bottom of your deck. Oh, then we've got a really good upgrade here with Echo Reflector. It's got an Amber and a Draw, and this creature gains your opponent's keys cost +3. Very good. CPO Zytar here, enhancing some of the damage and the draw. 4 power, 1 armor creature. Very cool. It's actually got 3 traits. I don't know how many creatures have 3 different traits. This is an Alien, Proxyman, Scientist. Ooh, SV3 Lander, very nice. Play, make a token creature. And then Omni, destroy SV3 Lander. For the remainder of the turn, you may use friendly token creatures. Great way to use tokens out of turn, especially if we really need to get something pesky off the board, but we don't have a good Unfathomable hand. It'd be great to be able to fight with the Raiders. We've got Stealthster, another upgrade creature, interesting. Enhanced with a capture, that's really good, especially since it's the elusive one. It's a 3 power creature with elusive, and it says Stealthster may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text this creature gains elusive. Very cool. Ooh, and then the Outpost that I think I mentioned earlier. It's got an Amber Pip on it, and it says action, put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, archive 2 cards. Very good efficiency. Oh, and then Badge of Unity, very nice. This creature belongs to House Star Alliance in addition to its other houses. In addition is very nice because there are a lot of cards where it's like the number of houses on the board matters, or especially in Saurian and Star Alliance, where it's like, oh, if you're next to Star Alliance, or oh, if you're next to whatever house. So it's nice to just give it another house. And then we've got the action here, Temporal Purge. It's got an Amber Pip. And play, flip each token creature face up, put each non-creature card flipped this way into its owner's discard pile. Very interesting. So if we have any creatures in play that got tokenized that we really want to keep in play, this is a great way to not only automatically just put them into play, but also it's a great way to clear the opponent's board, because any of the important stuff that wasn't a creature is just straight to the discard pile. Just have to be careful, make sure they don't have any major recursion. Alrighty, then we're going into Mars. So we're starting with Tixel Beam Buckler, 4 power 1 armor creature with play. Deal 2 damage to a creature and move it to either flank of its controller's battle line. The spread out damage in this deck is good. It seems to be synergizing super well. If we can get some like Mars needs Amber here or something like that, that'd be really nice. In combo with like the Thjalfi and stuff, that'd be super cool. Scoop up, very good. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, put a friendly non-Mars creature and an enemy non-Mars creature into your archives. If that enemy creature would leave your archive, return it to its owner's hand instead. Ah, and there it is. Mars needs Amber. Okay, fantastic. It's got an Amber Pip on it. It's an action. It says play, each damaged enemy non-Mars creature captures 1 Amber from its own side. Be careful about that non-Mars part. Ironix Rebel, enhanced with a draw. It's a 2-power creature that says deploy and play, ready each of Ironix Rebel's Mars neighbors. Ah, and then more ways to spread out damage. Okay, awesome. So this is the action Genetic Blast. It's enhanced with a damage. It came with an Amber Pip. It says play, deal 2 damage to a creature and each other creature with the same name as that creature. Very good way to deal with tokens. Ooh, Clone Home. Oh, and enhanced with a Capture Pip. That's really good. Clone Home is one of the best token making cards that are like unique to a house that have their own archive within themselves. Clone Home is an action that says play, make a token creature. If there are more friendly creatures than enemy creatures, archive Clone Home. Very cool. Wish we could have seen multiples of those. Ammonia Clouds, another way to spread out damage. Holy cow. Play, deal 3 damage to each creature. So every creature would take that. Ooh, Yixel the Iron Captain, 4-power, 1 armor. Play, each friendly Ironix creature captures 2 Amber. That would include himself. Mothership Support, some more damage. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play, for each friendly ready Mars creature, deal 2 damage to a creature. You may choose a different creature each time. Ooh, and then Ironix Banner. Play, make a token creature. It's enhanced with a draw. It says each friendly Ironix creature gets +1 power and +1 armor. Great for the captain. I think the Rebel was Ironix. I think that might be it though. Okay, then we have the Artifact Swap widget, enhanced with a capture. Action, return a friendly Mars creature to your hand. If you do, put a Mars creature with a different name from your hand into play, then ready it. Interesting. So that might be a great way to like replay the Iron Captain if we're capturing on 2 other creatures, or if there's a way that we can like bounce another Mars creature back to our hand in the same turn, or there's a Mars creature we really need to enter ready for some reason. And then Extinction. Play, destroy a creature and each creature that shares a trait with it gain 1 chain. Pretty good. Especially with how much synergy there is, and Extinction would be really good for like the token creatures. Looks like we have a decent amount of creature control. There's some synergy in there with like the spreading of the damage and the Mars needs Amber. And then we have some pretty fantastic control cards in Unfathomable. I don't think that this is going to blow anything out of the water, but it seems like a very consistent deck if nothing else. Very interesting, very good at keeping the opponent from really having a board for very long, if at all. Okay, well, give me 1 second to parse through everything, and then we'll be back with the deck breakdown. Alrighty, we're here now with the deck breakdown. Everything's in the usual piles. Token creature there, expected Amber control. Wait, yes, Amber control, expected Amber, artifact control, no artifact control, creature control, and then token cards that didn't fit into either of the 4 other piles. There is our SAS score. Looking good. 70 SAS is not bad. Something that I'm noticing more and more with Winds of Exchange is that it seems to have raised the like power floor of decks a lot. So your average deck is going to end up being a lot more consistent or a lot more powerful or a lot more showy. I think it's a great set just in general. It's super fun. It's great for sealed, but I think it's also a great set to get started in. Other than the unique token mechanic, I think that there's just so much to love about this set that can really pull it all together. You'll notice there that we have 2 anti-synergy. It's from the usual sources, something we seem to run into a lot on the Andy Forge channel. All of our creature control affects our creatures. Outside of our tokens, we don't have a very high creature count, and then we have both the Adult Swims, we have an Ammonia Cloud. Helping Hands doesn't super help us because of our Raider, and we didn't get any other great targets. Temporal Purge can be tough because we make a lot of tokens. And then Swap Widget isn't great because I think we only have 3 Mars creatures, is that right? Yeah, Iron Captain, Beam Buckler, and Rebel. I think that's it, yeah. So Swap Widget isn't super effective just because we only have 3 Mars creatures, but you know, we can get the most out of our Rebel and our Iron Captain, I guess. That's where the anti-synergy comes from, but 70 SAS isn't bad. The highest SAS house is Unfathomable, but some of that comes from Raider. The rest of it really just comes from Double Befuddle, Kelpminder, Double Adult Swim. It's 32 SAS. Our Star Alliance is 20, and our Mars is 19. But right there, we're going to put our extras and counts. We actually had 17 bonus amber, which is great. One away from just 3 keys from playing cards through the deck. So it's super awesome. One away from that number that I super prefer. I just really like the idea of, yeah, no matter what, you can get to 3 keys just by playing the deck. Our actions are 15, which is a little bit above average. We've got 15 actions, 11 creatures, which is actually pretty small, but it seems like that is because we have 6 artifacts and 4 upgrades, which are both decently above average. So it seems like all of our cards kind of pulled from the creatures. Token generation isn't super high. We've only got a token generation score of 6. Board wipes, we do have an Ammonia Clouds. And then archiving, I don't know why it shows like that. It shows a 0 in targeted archiving, but we do have Ganymede Outpost, so I don't know why it isn't there. And then we have random archiving, which isn't entirely random, but it's Scoop Up. We have to archive one of our own non-Mars creatures and then our opponent's non-Mars creature. So that is all those counts. We'll get that out of here. And there is our amber and control sections. Very little amber control, no artifact control, as you know. Decent expected amber, 21 is pretty good. And then our creature control is around 12. I'm not sure exactly what the average is, but I feel like we have a lot of cards that do creature control, but not a lot of them are super effective. So we could definitely strive for a higher number there. But with the nature of the deck, most of the cards we're just gonna end up playing are gonna be, you know, blowing up creatures. So let's dig into this. If I could pick up that last card there, hello. Alrighty, so this is our amber control section. We're starting off with Kelpminder, just because it enhances 1 capture into the deck. Then Guiltspine Netcaster, because it enhances 2. Then we have our Crushing Deep, which is a sort of scaling amber control in that it just increases key cost. It's super good. For the last key, it can make the opponent's key cost 12, which a majority of the time, if you're having a really close game, it'll already either be just like, oh, you know, it's too late, they're at like 15 or something like that. But I'd say a majority of the time, that's going to at least stop them from forging that last turn. Then, of course, we have the Iron Captain, who can capture 2. The only other Iron X creature is the Rebel, so we could capture 4. But if we're able to swap widget it, we could theoretically capture, I think, 6 would be the total, because we'd get 4 on Rebel and then 1 on the Captain, but we'll see. Then Mars Needs Amber is actually great. We do a bunch of damage through a variety of different cards and ways. So this could be, it's probably our most effective amber control. There's a card after this, but I think this will be the most important just because it's coming from the opponent's supply to us. Then Echo Reflector, which is the upgrade increasing key cost. This could be great in tandem with that Crushing Deep. It's a super good artifact. I just wish we had a card that would help us kind of recur it or bounce it. Like Collector Borin, which lets you pull upgrades from your discard pile. This is our expected amber. So like I mentioned, our expected amber is at 21, but 17 of that is just from bonus pips. So this is basically the other, you know, non-exclusively bonus pip sources. SV3 Lander will let us reap with Raiders when we're not in Unfathomable. Iron X Rebel will let us ready, hopefully, both of our other 2 Mars creatures, but we'll see. And then Badge of Unity, just because you would attach it to a non-Star Alliance creature and then immediately be able to reap with them, even though it's not, you wouldn't typically because it's not a Star Alliance creature. We have no artifact control, unfortunately, becoming more and more important in the meta. There are a lot of Winds of Exchange decks that just have a bunch of artifacts. So very important, but we didn't end up with any, just by chance. Got our creature control here. Our weakest card is Sleep with the Fishes, just because we don't have any great ways to exhaust creatures. I feel like some of that is missing from, you know, Dark Tidings had a lot of ways to prevent creatures from, you know, readying and exhaust them in Unfathomable, but we're missing a lot of that. We've carried over some of the cards like this, which kind of stinks. CPO Zytar because it enhances the 1 damage. Toxicuta Venom for the poison. Mothership Support for the targeted 2 damage, great for the Mars Needs Amber. Kelping Hands for the poison outside of Unfathomable, which will be interesting because we'll basically just use that in on Star Alliance because we have so few Mars cards, but I think that's fine because we have so many upgrades, and if we can give our Pyro poison, that'll be really good because the splash attack damage will also be poisonous. Then we've got Fistaloha to make the damage that we spread out keep creatures exhausted. We could probably combo that pretty well with Sleep with the Fishes if we get lucky and are able to keep Fistaloha alive. Genetic Blast for more spread out damage. Pyro, who I was just mentioning, for that splash attack. Temporal Purge for tokens. Temporal Purge, unfortunately, is probably one of the worst performing creature control cards outside of set. So if you bring it to a tournament and you're playing against somebody who just isn't playing Winds of Exchange, then it literally only affects you. But then it becomes a much more interesting card because you're just looking at what was tokenized and whether or not the creatures are more important on the board or not. Hopefully they are, just because you want to get that Amber Pip, but very interesting card. Scoop Up to archive enemy creatures and one of mine. Tixel Beam Buckler for damage. Double Adult Swim here for spread out creature pickup. Ammonia Clouds, more damage, and then Extinction for those traits. Extinction, I mentioned the fact that it's great against tokens earlier because all the tokens are obviously going to have the same trait for your opponent, but it's also just great in general just because of the way that KeyForge works. Since you're operating within 3 houses, it's going to be often that like, oh, you know, Aquan is going to be a trait. Obviously all of my raiders have, but because I have Unfathomable in the deck, it's likely that some of my other creatures have Aquan. You know, they're those specific traits like Martian, Soldier, you know, Robot, Cyborg, that just apply to specific houses. So it works out in a way pretty often just because of the nature of KeyForge. So we've got our token generation here. We're looking at sunk cost. If we pick the right house, they discard the right house, then we can make 1 token. Clone Home, which is going to be one of our most effective ways to make tokens in that it archives itself and it's got a capture pip, so that's really good. Then Ironix Banner, which makes a token, and Uplink, which we can action make token, which actually would be pretty good in combination with the Badge of Unity, just because we can, hopefully if we have like a bunch of raiders on the board or something, or we just played a bunch of you know, Unfathomable creatures, or maybe our 3 Mars creatures, we can Badge of Unity, it becomes a Star Alliance creature, put Uplink on it, action it, and boom, we've got, you know, 2 more raiders immediately. Very, very fun. So that is most of the cards. There's some other cards that were more efficiency based, like Ganymede Outpost, or control based like Befuddle that you guys didn't see there. But you are used to that if you've seen my other videos. We've got one more section to look at here, and that is there. This is our speed and board. So we do have a little bit of recursion here from our Ganymede Outpost, putting cards on the bottom of the deck. Our speed is pretty high, also from Ganymede Outpost, but it also comes up bigger because of Kelpminder, CPO Zytar, because of the draw pips that they enhance, and then Future Booster, because we get to look at the top card of our deck. And then oh my goodness, Extinction brings it down a little bit because it gives us a chain. Our board power is pretty low. The highest power rating that any of our creatures have is 5, and we have a couple creatures that fit within that category, but then we also have Outpost putting creatures on the bottom of the deck, Temporal Purge, getting rid of token creatures, and Ammonia Clouds killing a bunch of our creatures. I'm surprised Adult Swim isn't also taking away from us, but our power is pretty low. Creature protection is actually pretty high. I think 2.1 is good for creature protection, mostly because we have Ironix Banner for 2 of those Mars creatures, Toxicuta Venom to do poison, both the Secura Droids for taunt, and then the Stealth Surf to give a creature elusive if we played as an upgrade. Got a lot of disruption here. It's rated at a 10. It is almost all Unfathomable. So we've got both the Befuddles, which are super highly rated, then the Sunk Cost, discarding from our opponent's hand, the Adult Swims to put stuff back into our the top of our opponent's deck, I believe. And then the Scoop Up in Mars, we're archiving one of their creatures for a undetermined amount of time. And then in our other here we have just Swap Widget. I don't think I'll ever understand the other category, I guess it's just something else that affects board state, but also it's in the deck and it needs a spot to be in. So, but super cool. And clear that. Very interesting deck. I'm loving digging through these Winds of Exchange decks. It'd be awesome if we could get like a super crazy banger in one of these videos. We haven't yet, but I'm still holding out hope for it. But nevertheless, I'm having a great time opening these and analyzing these. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I think these videos are just great either for me and hopefully for you guys. Just deck analysis is so important for sealed games and just general understanding of decks going into like tournaments or even just a more competitive casual play environment. Being able to look at a deck and in a moment's notice kind of pick out the things you like, pick out the things that work well together. And this feels almost like practice for that. And I don't know, I just find it so fun. It's like, kind of feels like solving a puzzle in a way. So I don't know. I hope you guys feel the same way. And if not, maybe, you know, while you're watching my videos, crack open a Winds of Exchange sealed deck. Also, you do your own analysis while you're watching my videos and stuff. I think there's a lot going on. Let me know how you guys feel about the updates with the Grim Reminders game found, whether you are excited for it or a bit tentative just because of how close it was to the Winds of Exchange launch and whether or not we have OP yet and all this stuff. I'm excited for the set, but I'm a little nervous. We'll see how it goes. I really just want local play to really kick off in an official kind of full swing way, and I think that's what I'm really missing. But I'll stop babbling. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, you're awesome. Thank you so much for your support. I know this is a weird sealed video right in the middle of the decks, you know, the 5th deck, but I really appreciate you guys, and I'm having a great time just making KeyForge content. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. Have a great one!